Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here, our first look at F124. I am so excited. Of course, last week we spoke about some of the rumours that were going around with the game, and we actually in that video discussed that we thought an official announcement would be coming out today. So if you missed out on that, I would recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to react to the trailer, and then we're going to talk about things that we know so far, try and break it down and see what we can find then. So here we go, contains flashing images. So unfortunately it doesn't look like we're getting any official gameplay, which is a little bit of a shame there, but liking the idea, you know, I always felt they need to try and steer more to the IRL counterpart in recent times, but are we really going to get anything too much? Full reveal coming in April then. And if you pre-order before the 24th, you get some 2024 liveries to race in time trial as well then. So that's actually really, really cool. So McLaren, Williams, Alpine and Haas, if you obviously buy the next game, you get to access obviously those cars in this year's game, although obviously it will just be livery swaps on this year's car, and they are going to get 2 of the F1 Esports liveries as well. Looks like obviously we've got the McLaren Shadow and the Alpine Esports, so I think it's a really good idea, of course, if EA really try and implement kind of the esports teams into the game a bit more. Looking elsewhere then, so clearly Pitcoins aren't going anywhere, apparently, so we're going to be keeping those around for the future. And I think the biggest bit then, obviously in that video we did last week, we discussed how apparently the game was going to be coming out on May 31st. That looks to be correct, so you'll be able to play it 3 days early on May 28th if you pre-order the game as well. Obviously pre-order the Championship Edition, or Champions Edition, sorry, of the game there as well, which is really, really cool. So it looks like kind of all those things we spoke about last week are in fact correct, of course. We're going to cover so much of the information of the game as and when it releases as well. But yeah, that's a really, really quick kind of trailer. So we kind of get a little bit of an idea. Unfortunately, YouTube kind of covers it up as well, but it looks like we'll be getting F2 once again. I mean, that is pretty much a given at this point. F2 has been in the game for many, many years at this point. So yeah, I think that's... I mean, May has got to be the earliest ever reveal we've had for an EA F1 game, at least since I've been playing them. They used to be kind of September, and then it kind of crept into August, and it feels like EA have really, really, really tried and push, obviously, to have it earlier in the year, which I think is a good idea. You know, announcing it before Bahrain as well builds up a bit of hype. I'm sure we will see some F124 kind of banners and things like that around the IRL Grand Prix circuits as well over the course of the first few races of the season. So I mean, really, yeah, we're only going to get about 7 or 8 races out of the real-life season before the game drops, so that's pretty cool, and it should mean that we catch up IRL F1 even earlier than we have done in the past. But yeah, a much, much earlier reveal then for this year's game, of course. As I said, we'll be covering as much of the information as we possibly can. I'll be honest, I thought we might be getting a little bit more than we've been teased in this one. But of course, yeah, things will be drip-fed to people in the near future. I mean, none of this now is kind of known, but I believe this year's game we are going to see a switch up. I think we're going to see more kind of built on career mode. EA Codemasters especially have a tendency to take 2 years developing something for the game. So I reckon, obviously, career mode last year we saw no changes whatsoever, pretty much. So I think this year we are going to see quite a lot of drastic changes, which is going to be really, really cool to see as well there. Of course, it's all just speculation at the moment, but that's what I believe is going to happen. So again, obviously, we'll cover that more when we know about it as well there. But yeah, it looks like obviously more of the teams as well are really trying to integrate with EA and F1, of course, allowing, this year's liveries now, I suppose I should say, on last year's game, I think is a really, really cool little addition. And will hopefully build up some hype as well. Obviously, you can only use them in time trial, anything like that. And it looks like, those two esports liveries are going to be in F1 24 from launch as well, which is really, really cool. But I mean, it kind of feels like, obviously, there's a few things we want to see from next year's game. I don't know yet, but I want to go out on a limb as well in suggesting that we might see a switch to the Unreal Engine, simply because, obviously, last year's game saw very, very little changes and updates to it in terms of F1 23 relative to F1 22. And let's not forget EAWRC, which I know is a completely different developer as well, completely different team inside EA, obviously made the switch to the Unreal Engine as well. So I think that's kind of what they're trying to do for the future. It's going to be more games that are kind of built on the Unreal Engine. And obviously, EAWRC, I absolutely love. I have a rally channel, if you didn't know already, which I would highly recommend dropping a sub on as well, if rally content is your cup of tea. I crashed into trees quite a lot, but I'm going to go out on a limb in suggesting that I believe that we are going to be making a switch to the Unreal Engine. So hopefully we'll improve online stability. Hopefully we'll change the way the game sort of handles, feels and looks and things like that, because if coders have done anything well in the last few years, the graphics have absolutely been, consistency right towards the top of any racing sim, which, for a lot of people is very important. I feel, obviously, you kind of get a lot of people that obviously are just solely interested in the raw driving experience. Can you do 100% race against your friends online? But obviously there's a lot of people as well that just want to jump on and do some 5-lap races and that kind of thing. The one thing I personally really, really hope, and I'm sure obviously we'll find out more in the near future as well, is EA, please accept the idea, F1 World, it shouldn't be the big focus. I get it, of course, it's a fantastic way of implementing various things into the game as well. Doing some of the livery unlocks, that kind of thing was very, very good fun. But please don't put all the focus on F1 World for F1 24. Give us better career mode. Give us better online stability as well. Give us some changes in that regard. I personally think the F1 23 handling model is fantastic for the most part. Honestly, I would say they don't really need to tweak that much, unless, of course, we're moving on to a completely new system. But yeah, I think that would be... if we got onto it and F1 24 handled similarly to F1 23, I wouldn't worry about that too much at the end of the day there. But yeah, F1 24, it is coming. It is coming earlier than we've seen any of the F1 games in recent years, so I'm certainly going to have to sit down and work out exactly what I'm doing between now and then. Of course, we've still got a lot of series to finish off, so we'll wait and see as to how we get on. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Tell me down below what you want to see in F1 24 as well. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with more F1 24 content.